Hello, everybody. Jeremy here. Welcome to another edition of the 13th Dimension. And tonight I am going to be doing things a little different. So, as you can see, I'm by myself. Um, of course, that was by design. What I wanted to do is do a year in review for the year 2025. And I was thinking to myself, maybe this is something I could do like a solo show, and take on some comments from any viewers out there that decide to let themselves be known, because I do see some that are watching. Um, but I wanted to talk about this year because it has been a very interesting year. I'm not going to let this show go on for too long because I still have some things going on tonight after the show. Hadn't hadn't had dinner yet, so I'm going to have my dinner after I do this, and I probably won't be doing a full hour like I usually try to get off of this show. Mainly because it is just me. So, but I wanted to talk about um, 2025, how things have been, and I'm not talking about just in the paranormal community. I'm talking about worldwide. Um, I know going into 2025, depending on which side of the fence you were on, I know it seemed like half the country was sure that the United States was going to be completely ruined. And then the other half was sure that the United States was going to be great again. Um, me, I'm right there on that fence line. I could go either way because it happens every time we have a general election. You know, half the people are very happy with who we elected president. Half the people are not happy with who we elected president, and you're not going to avoid that. You never will. Um, and some people just don't get that, unfortunately. Um, Me, I always go in with an open mind. Um, I'm always hoping for the best, and it's like that with every president. It doesn't matter if it's a Democrat, Republican. I don't care. I really don't. I don't subscribe to the blind follow of any political party because I think it's absolutely worthless. Um, and I've talked about the political stuff on Supernatural Talk with Adrian, with Nick, and we discussed many things. We talked about a lot of the things that Trump was doing with some of his executive orders. Some we agree with, some we don't agree with. Um, but like I said, it's all about looking at everything objectively and trying to and deciding. Okay, hi Chris, and deciding, if this is really something that's going to be good, something that's going to help us, or not. Um, and I do know that there have been. Let's see. I've actually got a list here. So there have been a total, as of right now, a total of 225 executive orders. Um, 19 of them have been blocked by the courts. Four partially blocked. The last time any of them had been blocked was back in May. So when you take that into account, it seems like that he or at the very least, his advisors had got it through to him. You really need to think about some of these orders that you put out. So none since May, well, none since June, I should say, had been blocked by the courts. Now, that's not to say later on they will be, but I think it seems to be pretty good that nothing that he had put out in the last 6 months had been blocked. Um, and of course, there's still the whole argument about he's going to ruin this country. I can understand that. I really do. Um, and he keeps saying that everything is down. The gas prices, the grocery prices, all of that. I'm not seeing that on my end as far as the groceries go. Some things have gone up, but recently the gas prices, at least in my area, the gas prices have gone down considerably. Um, I was actually able to fill up on gas yesterday for 2.34 a gallon, whereas not even a month ago they were 3.20. So they've gone down, and I'm hoping that they went down because of Christmas. Um, and by the way, at least for me, Christmas was good. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed your Christmas. You guys had a good one. You got to spend time with your families, your loved ones, friends, whoever. Uh, I was certainly able to do that. We had a good time, good gifts. And now that Christmas is over, we begin the week long trek to the end of the year. Um, so next week, let's see, what is it? Friday, Thursday. So next Thursday is January 1st, 2026. Um, and I know a lot of people are going to be doing this New Year, New Me thing. Again, that's another thing I don't subscribe to. If you want to make a change in your life, do it now. Don't wait for a date, because I had found that if you're waiting for a specific date to start something, by the time you get there, you don't want to do it. Um, but if you want to make a change, like if you want to lose weight, or if you want to put on muscles, or if you want to change a certain aspect of your life, start now. Don't wait, because tomorrow's never a guarantee. A lot of us have found that out the hard way. Tomorrow is not a guarantee. Um, but yeah, but in a sense, it is kind of like a new beginning because we now have a new year, definitely. Um, but in all truth and honesty, it really is just another day. Just like, well, I don't want to say Christmas is just another day, but in the grand scheme of things, it really is. It's just the date that we choose to celebrate certain things. I know people use that as a time to spend with family. You know what? Spend time with your family now. Don't wait till Christmas. So, and on the subject of, tomorrow is not guaranteed, we had lost a lot of people we had grown up with, a lot of celebrities. Some of them very, very shocking. To me, the most shocking of all is the recent loss of Rob Reiner. Um, that one just came. Well, they all came out of left field, but this one here especially. Um, and the reason it's so shocking is that supposedly his son did it. Um, killed Rob Reiner, his father, and his mother. So, and thankfully they caught him within a few hours. Apparently, he was still bloodied up, but there's a lot of shocking things coming out. Um, so far, I don't know what's really true, what's not, because a lot of things come out in the news, and then later on they say, "Oh, well, that wasn't right, but this is." Um, but as of right now, they do have Nick Reiner on the suspicion of the death of his parents, murder of his parents. Um, we're gonna see what happens, but it is such a shame that for Rob, he was only 70. He was 78. Um, Michelle was 68. So they're in the twilight of the years of their lives. They're at that point of life where you just need to enjoy everything, and they did not. They did not get that chance. Um, what I find very, very ironic about Rob Reiner, and I mentioned this, I think, on Fear Fans, is his first film was This Is Spinal Tap. And then earlier this year, his latest film, This Is Spinal Tap 2, came out. And that ends up being the last one that he directs. It's well, like a weird factoid in his life. But he had made so many great movies. The Princess Bride is very, very popular. My personal favorite is Stand By Me. To me, that's one of the greatest films ever made. And it's not because I'm such a big fan of Stephen King, but the story itself is incredibly wonderful on the film. And I have read the actual story, which is almost word for word. And that was a real treat to read. And of course, also along the lines of Stephen King, he directed Misery, which is really, really good. Um, when Harry Met Sally. So Rob Reiner has directed great, great films, um, and he deserved every accolade he ever got. But it is such a shame to lose him in the manner that we did. Um, it is such a shame. Also, another very shocking death in the manner that it was done was Charlie Kirk. And I know, again, he's one of those people out there where people are on um, split right down the middle. But what really disgusted me is that people were openly celebrating his death, like he was Hitler. Come on, guys. He was just another man. He was in the political world, and that right there is going to make you polarize into to everyone. So I get that. Um, a lot of people quote him for certain things that he says, but they don't quote the entire thing that he said. So a lot of what he was quoted for was taken out of context, and I remember the day that he was shot. Um, it was very shocking. I've seen the video. I've seen different angles of it. It's brutal. His wife was right there, right in front of him when that happened. And people are saying today that she looks different. The way that she looks at people now, the way that she says certain things. And My thought is this is a woman who watched her husband brutally murdered with her kids right next to her. That's going to change you. That is going to change anybody. Um, so I don't blame her for how she is right now, and she's just 4 months removed, or 5 months almost removed from that. That is not something that she is going to easily recover from, if ever. But I get it. Again, it depends on what side of the fence you are. It's a great thing. It's a terrible thing. But I think it's sickening that people celebrated his murder like people celebrating the death of Bin Laden. Two completely different things. And if you don't see that, well, I'd say you're part of the problem. Um, other other people that we had lost this year, um, one that was real sad to me was Gene Hackman. Um, he and his wife passed away within days of each other, but they weren't found until 2 weeks later. Um, and they had kids. That alone is incredibly sad. But Gene Hackman was a great, great actor. I loved him in The Firm. Um, let's see what was there's the movie that he was in with Denzel Washington, where they are in a submarine. I don't remember the name of the film exactly, but I think it's a Tom Clancy movie. He did wonderful in that one. Runaway Jury, he was great in that one. Um, Enemy of the State with Will Smith, I love that one. But yeah, that was a real sad case in the death of Gene Hackman. Um, the big one for me this year was Hulk Hogan, and that's because I basically grew up on Hulk Hogan. A lot of other wrestlers, and he's one of those guys that you would think would live forever. Um, and it was a very bitter pill that day when the news came out that he had passed away, because he was larger than life. He's the biggest name in all of professional wrestling. Um, Ozzy Osbourne, who died just I think 2 days prior, because his death was expected. Everybody knew that he wasn't doing well. Um, and when he did his concert, what was it, 6 weeks before? Everybody knew that it wasn't going to be very long. Um, Robert Redford, lost him. I know he was extremely popular. Diane Ladd, um, Lonnie Anderson. We also lost James Lavelle, one of the astronauts that went to the moon. Most recently, just not even a week ago. Uh, yeah, it was a week ago. James Ranson. Um, he wasn't one I was very familiar with, except that he was in It Chapter Two, the remake. Um, that's another sad one. You just never know with Hollywood actors, because I know that Hollywood is not an easy place to be a part of. When you're an actor, you are exposed to all different things. And for him, he had a traumatic experience 30 some years ago. Um, and it makes me wonder if the repercussions of that led to what he did. Um, we also lost Roberta Flack, Val Kilmer. Um, that was kind of a shock. Big fan of his stuff. Terrence Stamp. He he was such a lovable villain. He really was. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. Um, let's see. June Lockhart. She lived to be 100 years old. I thought that was wonderful. George Rent from Cheers. Um, let's see. Bob Euchre, Mr. Baseball. He was so much fun to watch. Let's see. Diane Keaton lost her recently. Um, Ace Frehley from Kiss. Pope Francis. That was that was huge. Um, and then you have all the people that had died in all of these airplane crashes that we had throughout the year. It started out very weird. Back in January, when they had that collision there in Washington D.C., where that one plane was coming in from, let's see, I think it was from Kansas. They were coming into Washington. They they had just done like a figure skating competition, and they were all coming home. And just as they were descending, just as they were not even a minute away from landing, and they collide with a helicopter, um, a United States Army helicopter. 60 some people dead now. And they were less than a minute, seconds really, from landing. I thought that was just incredibly sad. And the video, it's what are the chances of something like that happening? Really, um, that was really bad. And then 2 days later, in Philadelphia, a medical plane was transporting somebody. Hi, Irene. A medical plane was transporting somebody to a hospital, and something happened, and the plane literally nosedived into, I think it was a shopping mall. Um, that was, I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. And then most recently, just almost 2 months ago, much closer to home, down in Louisville, a plane crashed. It was a delivery plane. Only three people on the plane, but I think 10 people on the ground died. Um, it had just taken off. It didn't even have its landing gears up yet. And something happened. Plane crashed. And what was really scary about that is, I think not an hour before, one of my good friends, Ernie Pack from Pac-Man Paranormal, was right there. Traffic was stopped. I don't know if they had like if they were waiting on something like a traffic jam or what, a train, but he was right there. They finally got going, in less than an hour, the plane crashed right through that area. Um, that's scary. It's like I know that we have aviation disasters every year, not just here in America, but all over the world. But it felt weird this year. Um, it it felt really really weird. Let's see what else happened this year. Oh, the Conjuring House. So going into the paranormal community, the whole drama of the Conjuring House had really been going on for a very long time, but this year it just went to a whole nother level. Um, the, the accusations of assassination about somebody who wasn't even there, although she said that his she saw his truck, she had video of his truck, and when she released the video, it turned out to be somebody who was there, who was a customer, and he was there for the night investigating. He got online, hey, that's my truck. That wasn't Jason's truck. Um, and then the way that she was conducting business, she had her business license pulled, and she said it doesn't matter. She's still going to run her business even without the business license, and that's a big no no. Um, Now she has a warrant for her arrest in Rhode Island, but she lives in Massachusetts, and they can't cross state lines to come get her. And apparently, it's too much paperwork for them to get the police in Massachusetts to come and get her and bring her to Rhode Island. I I've never seen a situation like this before. Um, and then the whole thing of Jason Hawes looking to buy the house, um, because of a plea that Andrea Perrin put out. Um, she's not doing well in health, um, and she wants to see this house be saved and run the way it should be. So she reached out to Jason. Jason heard the call, and now he's doing this GoFundMe. And I haven't looked at it recently, but the last time I did look at it, it was pretty close to $400,000, and that is without him putting in his portion. This is money that people have donated, um, and he was going to use this money to try to win the auction that was originally scheduled on Halloween night. And then before Halloween night, a thing was released saying that the mortgage was purchased by somebody. And I thought, oh boy, this is really getting interesting. That came out of nowhere. And then it turns out that the mortgage that was purchased is the guy that is with Matt Rife, who's trying to buy the house. Um, and that's not suspicious at all. No, that's not suspicious at all. So now it's like, I don't know what's going to happen here because he owns the mortgage now. This Elton does. If he owns the mortgage, then he can just sell it to Matt. If he's not able to come up with an agreement with that Nunez, Jacqueline. I'm always getting her first name wrong, but Miss Nunez. So nobody really knows what's going to happen. I know that Jason is very optimistic about how things are going. He says that even though Elton bought the banknote, it doesn't change anything. Um, but because of his association with Matt Rife, it doesn't look good to me. Um, and then there's this whole community out there that's saying that Jason is doing this as a scam, and I'm like, how how I don't get that. Um, Now I have not contributed to the GoFundMe um, for a number of reasons, but the biggest reason is because I can't afford it. Um, but another reason is I can't, in good conscience, give money to somebody so they can buy something, and it doesn't matter, like a house or a business. It doesn't matter who it is or what it. I can't do that. Um, because I would see something like that as an investment opportunity. So I would want my name attached to it. Um, and I have mentioned that before on Supernatural Talk. But in no way do I think that Jason is trying to scam people. But I do know that a lot of some people out there, they are actively working on trying to discredit him. But people have been trying to discredit him for years. Um, Give it up. So, what else has happened this year? If I may, well, I will. I'm going to dip into the wrestling industry. So, this year we saw the retirement of John Cena, and it was big news all over the place because we had never had a retirement tour like John Cena. I know a lot of wrestlers have had like lead ups to their final match and things like this, but never on the level that John Cena did. And it was really pretty cool to watch. I enjoyed it every step of the way. Um, the heel turn was very shocking, but it made sense because I know a lot of people wanted to turn heel. He at one point wanted to turn heel, but the WWE would not let him because he was basically their cash cow. He was their golden goose, and if he turned heel, they feared that that would hurt their merchandise sales. It would hurt opportunities for him to be on the radio to promote their product that they would have to rely on somebody else. Um, so they would never pull the trigger on that. And finally, this year they did. It did not go over so well. Um, but John himself, hey Nick, but John himself said that in order for him to turn heel and have a proper run, he needs 2 years. Um, and he had what 10 months 9 months before he was supposed to retire when he did turn heel, so it was a very condensed, rushed version, and he ended up turning back um, at the end of July, so just mere months later. uh, so it's regarded as a failed heel run. I tend to agree, but even with that, we saw some great matches that he had that he probably wouldn't have had if he didn't turn heel. Against Randy Orton, that was a great match. Against CM Punk, that was a great match. I got the one match that I wanted, and that was John Cena versus R-Truth. I wanted that match, but I wanted that one at the end of the year. Um, but that was before the whole switching back and all of that. But either way, I enjoyed it. Um, I was kind of shocked for his last match where he tapped out. A lot of people are not happy about that because it was always this never give up attitude that he had for 20 some years. Um, but I don't see it that way. He did not tap out of the match. No, I saw it as he was looking back on his career. He was happy with what he had done. He's happy with the stories that he told, and he tapped out the career. He did not tap out of the match, although technically he did. But I saw that as tapping out of the career. He smiled, much like in the way that Obi-Wan Kenobi did in Star Wars. He smiled because he knew that he had to die in order for his people to live on. And that's basically what John Cena, the wrestler, did. Um, so it made perfect sense. I'm very happy with how John Cena went out. He went out. Now, he will tell you that he did not go out on his term because he wants to wrestle forever and ever. But he says that his body will not allow him to, and because of that, that's why he needed to retire. So it's not going out on his terms, but he did it on his terms. Um, and he's not going to convince me otherwise. But I was very happy with that. I'm excited to see the Royal Rumble. Hey, Chris, hope you're doing better. Um, I'm excited for the Royal Rumble. That's my favorite event of the year coming up January 31st, I believe, whatever that Saturday is. Um, People are not happy that it's in Saudi Arabia. I tend to agree. But it's what we got. And simply because it's in Saudi is not going to keep me from watching it. Um, that's just the way it is. The Rumble is my favorite event of the year. Is my favorite match. So I'll be watching that. Um, Tell Mary I said hi to. Now I'm going to switch gears here. Of course, you know that I created Things Network. I've had other people help me with with building it up, the foundation. Nick being one of them, Tim, Crystal, Scott, Eileen, Adrian. They all helped out big time get this thing going, and it's been running solidly for 4 years now. 4 years and 2 months. It's been an incredible run. Next year is going to be our 5 year anniversary, and I would love to do something special. Don't know yet, but I would love to do something special for the 5 year anniversary. And I'm going to look at the calendar right now. So, Things Network launched on October 29th. And next year, October 29th actually falls on a Thursday. So, that's the night that Supernatural Talk. So, I may end up doing something on that night on that show. Maybe get all the show hosts on together and do something. I don't know yet, but I want to do something special for that night because 5 years, that's a big deal. Um, and I've seen a lot of other pages, networks. They run have a good run, and then for whatever reason they peter out. Um, each each case is different. Um, some of them they try to get started, but they never really get going. Um, but we have held on strong for 4 years, for over 4 years, and I am incredibly grateful for it. We have a wonderful audience out there. Every show seems to have its own loyal following. And I think that is wonderful that every show has been able to connect to somebody out there. Um, it's it's really been an awesome thing. Um, so yeah, I would like to do something special on that night. So we got 10 months to plan. So I'll figure something out. I'm going to talk to everybody. Say, hey, give me some ideas. Let's do this. And also on a much lesser thing, I created another network for wrestling because that's my big love right there, wrestling. I grew up on it. I first became a fan when I was 11 years old, and I stopped watching it when I was around 22, 23. Basically because the storylines had got too ridiculous for me. So I stopped watching it for about 5 years, 5 or 6 years. And then in 2008, towards the end there, I started slowly getting back into it. I would go to we have a club, we have a bar just a few miles up the road from me. It's called Wrigley Field. I was invited to come out to Wrigley Field, and my first thought was, wait a minute, that's in Chicago. And then they told me what it is. That is like a sports bar here, and whenever there's a wrestling pay per view, they had it airing there, or when they had UFC, they had it airing there. Um, Football games, baseball, all of that stuff they showed there at Wrigley Field. Okay, I'll come out. Besides, bar food is usually the best food you'll ever get, and at Wrigley Field, that was no different. Um, so I went out there, watched my first pay per view in years. It was called, I think it was Unforgiven, or No Mercy, whichever it was that had the scramble matches, which I thought was a really cool concept. And the wrestling bug started hitting me again. Um, so I went there for Survivor Series, went there for the Rumble. Um, I did not do it for WrestleMania because I knew it would be a madhouse because WrestleMania is the most popular event of the year. But for me, it's always been the Rumble. And then in 2014, the WWE came out with their own network, WWE Network. And, I subscribed to that. And ever since then, I've been watching all of their big events right here on the computer. Um, I tried to do it on my bit screen TV, but it just wouldn't work. But I'm able to watch it on the computer, and been watching it through the WWE Network, and then more recently through Peacock. And now I have Netflix, which I swore I would never get, but things change. Um, but I have the Universal Wrestling Network. The only show on it now is Marks on Wrestling. I did have a second show that Joe was doing, and one time he had Chris on, and then something happened. The show ended up ending. Um, but Joe wants to start up another wrestling show. I told him, do it. Um, so he just started his Insane Asylum show back up a couple weeks ago. So hopefully he'll be able to come up with something for wrestling. Um, and then this year I created another page. This time I wanted to devote it to video games. So now I have the Games Galore network, and basically anybody who wants to stream games to it, let me know. And I'll give you access, and you can do it. Um, so far, it's been me, Clarissa Haler from Unveiled Paranormal. Although that's done, actually, she just ended all of that a month or so ago. Um, Sad to see her go, but she felt that it was the best thing for her personal life. So Unveiled Paranormal is no more. So that is now leaving her some time to play some more games, which I know that she had been wanting to do for some time. So she's been playing games. I know that Don Elmy had played games, and he didn't stream to the page, but he shared it from his YouTube page. Um, he's trying to figure out how to connect everything through his Xbox. Um, hasn't had a whole lot of luck there. So I have a feeling that Games Galore Network is going to grow um, much better than wrestling than the Universal Wrestling Network is, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm a creator, and not everything I create is going to you know is going to get big. I know that, and I'm okay with it. But you know. Um, I had talked about wanting to do something about bowling, create something for bowling, but I'm still kind of out of the game. Uh, I used to bowl multiple times a week for years, and it got to a point where it was beginning to feel like work. But then when I got hurt, my bowling pretty much came to a screeching halt. But I have been able to keep my national bowling tournament thing going. I have been going every year. This March will be my 25th consecutive year going. Um, and it's in Reno. I'm really looking forward to that. I love going to Reno. Um, I love where I stay, which is the Circus Circus, because there are three hotel casinos interconnected. Circus Circus, El Dorado, and Silver Legacy. They take up three city blocks, and while they're all separate buildings, the second floor is connected all the way through. So I I can go from one to the other and never have to go outside. Um, and they have wonderful restaurants in there, so I could go there, stay there a week, and never go outside because everything that you would need is there. They have entertainment thing. They have things for kids. Lots of gift shops. Um, and the National Bowling Stadium is just a block away. I could walk there if I wanted to, but I don't because every time I walked, I'm always getting stopped by homeless people or people pretending to be homeless and asking me for money, and I don't want to deal with that. So I just drive. Um, Plus, I take a lot of balls with me. I take 8 bowling balls, and that is a chore to to drag. It really is. But yeah, in March I'll be going to Reno, Nevada, for my 25th consecutive years. I'm really looking forward to that. Um, but it's got me concerned because of the surgery that I was supposed to have 2 weeks ago. That ended up getting canceled because the doctor decided he was no longer going to be taking insurance um, after the first of the year anymore because we had everything scheduled. It was 3 surgeries. They had to happen boom, boom, boom. So December, January, February, I was going to have all three of my surgeries. Um, when February is done, I was going to have for the next month, maybe month and a half to recover. And I would have been recovered enough to be able to drive out to Reno. And now I don't know what's going to happen. But the new doctor that he referred me to apparently has accepted me because I got their letter. And I will be seeing this new doctor on January 19th, which is basically about 2 months to the day before I leave for Reno. Um, so, if anything, this new surgery will probably happen right after I come back. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. But I won't know anything until a month from now, basically. Um, let's see, what else haven't I talked? Oh, my writing. So I write every single day. I do not take a day off. I write every single day, Sunday through Saturday, 2,000 words a day. I I actually have a thing written down how many words I write every single day. It's ridiculous. I have completed three novels. One is actually called The 13th Dimension. It that is actually going to be a series, um, a 13 book series. And let's see here. I'm trying to find. So it's going to be a series, 13 books. I have planned to write at least the second, maybe the third next year. Um, but I don't know yet. The second book that I wrote this year is called The Book Nook, and it's my version of the Hallmark Christmas movie. Because I love those movies, I really do, and I wanted to write my own version of it and center it around a bookstore where the owner gets into an accident, and because of the accident, he misses his monthly lease payment. And the person who owns the building is such a hard ass that he is one of those guys where if you miss one payment, he's coming after you. Uh, and in the process, the book owner's best friend, who lives a few states away, kind of comes to the rescue. Uh, that's pretty much really all I can say without actually spoiling the book. And then the most recent book that I just completed is Smart Town, which is about a technology company who taken over a small town in South Carolina. Their goal is to connect every house and every business to one computer system, like an intranet, and it's going to be run by AI. Well, throughout the year, the the story starts in January and it ends in October. Throughout the year, people try to stop them. There's a lot of deaths, lot of betrayal, um, battles, one big battle, and a twist there in the end where you discover what this company's true purpose is. Um, it ended up going a lot longer than I expected. When I started writing this, my goal was between 80 and 90,000 words, which is roughly about 300 pages. When I finished it, it was 167,000 words. I practically doubled it. And that was not my intention. It's just basically the story wanted more. And I ended up writing way more than I thought. Um, so by the time I was done with that one, I was kind of glad because I was ready to move on to something else. And right now I'm in the middle of another story called Hanging by a Moment. Um, and this is actually inspired by an actual event that happened in San Francisco where a guy was going to kill himself by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, and he was saved, talked down by a policeman, and I thought that it is such a wonderful story. Now those two are working together, doing like speeches and everything to to talk to people about mental health and what you can do to combat that. And I thought that was such a wonderful story. And then with the way that my brain is wired, it's like there's a twist in there somewhere. And finally it hit me what that twist is. And I'm working on that right now. I've been working on it for 4 days. I think it'll be completed Sunday, no later than Sunday. It might be completed tomorrow. Just depends, but I think at the latest it'll be completed on Sunday. I'm really liking this one here. Let's see. I have only done 3 investigations this year. I did a private residence. That's my goal anyway. Is I prefer to do private residences than the pay for play stuff. But I have also done the Masonic Temple in Kokomo, Indiana. That was a pretty cool experience. I was actually um, in the very first group. I was invited in the very first group to give that thing a full investigation. Um, and I had done a Masonic temple before in Salina, Kansas. I loved that one, and I really loved doing this one here in Kokomo. And then I did the Crown Point Jail, Crown Point, Indiana, Old Lake County Sheriff's House and Jail. That is my absolute favorite place to go to. Um, I am in pretty tight with Sandy and Jackie, the two main ladies that run it. Um, so whenever somebody is looking for a location in Indiana, that's the one that I always recommend. Um, there's there's a certain kind of magic there. I love that place. Holy cow! I'm hitting an hour. I did not think I was going to be yakking this long. I really did not. So basically, 2025 was a polarizing year, um, and the majority of it is all stemming from the political world. I get it. Um, it is one of those things that kind of gets me because there are a lot of people out there, so many that are blind faith followers. It's like so in the case of Donald Trump, depending on whether you're a fan of his or not, some people will say Donald Trump can't do any wrong. Other people will say Donald Trump can't do anything right. I will say this: he is a PR nightmare. No question about that. He is a publicity nightmare. Um, he does not have what most people would expect from a politician, but in all fairness, he's not a politician. He's a businessman, and a businessman has a completely different attitude than a politician. You know, when you run a business or multiple businesses, you have to be ruthless, cutthroat, especially to get to the financial status that he did. Um, so I see where he's coming from that perspective. But at the same time, when I see these things that he puts out, um, I actually signed up on Truth Social, but I don't follow anybody. Although here's the thing: when I signed up, it automatically had me following like 40 people, 40 organizations, and I went through and unfollowed every single one of them. I don't want to see that crap. But the reason I signed up for it is because there's a lot of misinformation being put out there where, so and so said this or so and so said that. A lot of that, I'll see that on X. And it turns out that the things that they're saying that this person said, this person never actually said. It's just a tweet that these people are making up to misrepresent these people. So that's why I did the True Social. I don't plan on um, posting there, but when I see people showing clips of what Donald Trump put out, it's like, nah, he didn't really say that, did he? And I go in there, it's like, oh, he really did say that. Um, the worst one was when Rob Reiner died. The post that he made on that one was absolutely horrible. It really was. Totally uncalled for. Not the time to pull that shit. It really was. And then when he did his Merry Christmas thing, it you can't. He does not have the ability to say something nice and not add something else to it. Just say Merry Christmas. That's that's all he had to do. Merry Christmas. Wish you well. Be safe. Not add, you know, deranged people or whatever. No, you don't need to do that. That just makes you look bad. It really does. In like I said, there are some things that he has done that I do agree with. There are some things that he has done that I do not agree with. So it is what we got. Um, there were a lot fewer people that voted um, in this general election than they did when it was Trump and Biden when Biden won. And even that one, there's a lot of question. But there were, I don't even remember what it was, but there were several million fewer votes. And, you got to wonder why. Why is that? And then it was like, it's the end of the world that Donald Trump became the next president again. I'm going to be honest. I actually thought on his first term that he was doing pretty good. Everything was doing very well, despite his mannerisms. I don't like that. But again, he is not a politician. He is cutthroat. He is ruthless. But the state of the country, I thought, was doing really well before COVID hit, and that, to me, killed his presidency, which is why he would. And I think that a lot of people were looking at that and use that as a basis to get him out and bring in Biden. Um, and then, of course, there was that whole anyone but Trump thing, and you don't want to do that because that anyone could be worse than him. Um, so people need to look at everything logically. So when he became president, I was like, okay, we got 4 years of him. Um, let's hope for the best. So far, 11 months has gone by, so we still got 3 more years. And then the next election, we'll see what happens. So anyway, I've been going on for an hour and 7 minutes now, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. This will, unless let's see here, unless Donald comes to me about wanting to do another wrestling show, this will probably be my last show of the year. Um, I'm not planning on being on Fear Fans on Tuesday. Uh, so Supernatural Talk won't be on next week because that's on New Year's Day. Everybody is still going to be kind of recovering from the night before. However, next Friday, I am hoping to be able to have another show and have other show hosts come on and let's talk about the upcoming year. Let's talk about some goals that we have in mind for 2026, and we'll see if I can get some people on. When I had my Christmas special last week, last week, I had 6 or 7 people total throughout the show. Fun show. So I'm gonna plan on doing another one for New Year, and then beyond that, I'm just gonna kind of play it by ear. Um, 13th Dimension has been running for 6 years now, and this is the sixth show of the year. I am incredibly grateful that this show has been able to continue on for as long as it has. It I really love this show. So next Friday, I am planning on doing a 13th Dimension New Year's special, much in the way that I did with Christmas last year. I just wanted to do a year in review solo this year, tonight, because I had never done a solo thing before. So I wanted to see how that goes. So unless Donald wants to do a Marks on Wrestling this weekend, this will end up being my last show of the year, and then I'll just pick back up next next week, or as some people say, we'll see you next year. Yeah, I guess so. Um, Meanwhile, everybody out there who is in the audience, thank you so much for playing along. Um, I hope you guys this Christmas was good. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. And now we have our, like I said earlier, week long trek to the new year. Um, and whatever you decide to do for New Year's Eve, if you're going to travel somewhere, be safe, be responsible. Um, and historically, it is bitter cold on New Year's Eve. I don't. I am going to check my phone right now to see what they are projecting. Uh, of course, actually, let's see. So, at least here on New Year's Eve, they're expecting a little bit of rain. No, I'm sorry, snow. But as of right now, is 20% chance of snow, and the temperature is going to drop down to 33. And then the next day is going to drop down to 22. So it looks like it is going to be a cold one, as it normally is. But whatever you guys decide to do on New Year's Eve, be safe out there, be responsible, um, but do enjoy it, because New Year's Eve is always fun. I'll be watching the Dick Clark special, the Rockin' New Year thing that they have every year. To me, I know that every channel has their own program, but the Dick Clark Rockin' New Year thing to me is the epitome of all that. So until then, you guys have a good night, a good weekend. Happy New Year, but most importantly, be safe out there. Be safe, be responsible, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.